Welcome to the InnoGuide podcast. I'm your host, Bob Boudelier. This podcast, my website, and my weekly newsletter are all focused on bringing you the secrets of innovation. Since I don't rely on paid ads, I want to thank our customers who subscribe to our AI Fusion Kickstarter program and to those who leverage AI Fusion coaching to bring human-centered AI into their organizations. You can find us at www.innoguide.net. In this episode, number 59, we're sharing The AI-Driven Leader, Part 2 by Geoff Woods. Without further ado, please enjoy Episode 59, The AI-Driven Leader. Welcome to the InnoGuide podcast, where we share the works of authors and mentors to guide innovation. Let's get started. In Part 2, we're picking up at Chapter 8, Navigating Short-Term Pressures Without Sacrificing Long-Term Growth. If you've ever felt that tug-of-war between hit the number now and build the moat for tomorrow, you're in good company. The danger is subtle. Short-term wins feel urgent, long-term bets feel optional. Keep trimming the future to prop up this quarter, and you'll quietly sever the link between today's actions and tomorrow's advantage. Blockbuster is the cautionary tale. John Antioco saw streaming coming and made the right long-game moves, $200 million to eliminate the late fees and another $200 million to build digital. That's what strategic sacrifice looks like. Then activist pressure flipped the script. Antioco was ousted. Late fees returned. The online platform stalled. The pivotal company slid toward bankruptcy. It wasn't a failure of foresight. It was a failure of stamina under short-term pressure. And this isn't rare. McKinsey found 63% of executives delay long-term projects to avoid missing quarterly targets. It's like junk food. Looks harmless in the moment, but over time you don't recognize what you become. Our job as AI-driven leaders is to catch that pattern early and reset the balance. Keep your eyes on the horizon. Before you debate annual plans, align on the long-term destination and the advantage you're building. Otherwise, it's like departing LAX and vaguely pointing the plane east. In practice, define the edge you're building for the next 3 to 5 years. Translate that into this year's must-do priorities. Use AI to hold both time horizons at once. Protect the compounding bets while finding quick wins that buy credibility. Picture a retailer under intense quarterly scrutiny. You know AI-enabled supply chain optimization is your future moat. Instead of slashing that investment, ask your AI thought partner to review your plan. Interview you for long-term ROI hotspots, propose near-term efficiency plays that keep the board on side while you fund the big moves. This is where AI shines: scenario testing, trade-off analysis, and finding that sweet spot between today's results and tomorrow's defensibility. Align what you reward with what you want. People follow incentives. When I was Chief Growth Officer at Jindal Steel and Power, we rewired senior exec compensation around results over effort, year-over-year cash score, EBITDA minus changes in working capital, because cash pays the bills, and retention of top talent. The behavior change was immediate. Leaders looked past headline EBITDA to working capital norms, inventory turns, and receivables. They greenlit expansion projects that might temporarily lower cash score but created stronger long-term gains. Incentives spoke the strategy, and actions followed. Your cadence matters too. A clear long-term plan, compensation aligned to it, and consistent accountability. Your role is to coach the team toward the critical few short-term actions that fortify the long-term edge, while developing them to take on bigger opportunities. Don't let busyness crowd out what actually grows the business. Think like a strategist. 5 habits to build and keep. Customer obsessed. As my friend Chris Winston said, stop asking how do we use AI and start asking, what do our customers want? And what tools help us deliver it? AI is a means, not the mission. Turn vision into results with the 4 growth drivers. Strategy. Paint the long-term picture and the moat you're building. Ask what must be true about your org and your org chart to support it. Execution. Build this year's plan to grow into that future, not to fit today's constraints. Goals should shape who you must become. People, align roles to strategy. When the plan changes, job descriptions should too. And technology, use tech, including AI, to free people for higher value work. Make operations more efficient and embed defensibility in the product. Prioritize and communicate. Focus on the vital 20% that drives 80% of outcomes and say it clearly. Prioritization without communication turns strategy into shelfware. Be analytical and critical. Use data to steer. Think clearly, decide with evidence, and keep stress testing assumptions as you execute. Stay adaptable. Plans never survive intact. The leaders who win pivot faster and ask bolder questions, like Gary Keller's, "What's the business that will put us out of business? And how can we build it first?" AI helps you simulate outcomes, pressure test plans, and serve as a sounding board when the ground shifts. How to get started? Make space to think. Block time for strategic thinking and work through a few clarifying prompts. What long-term moat are we building, and how do we know it's defensible? What must we accomplish this year to make real progress? Where do we need to recommit time and resources? What are we saying yes to that's pulling us off mission? And what will we do about it? I still start with pen and paper, then bring in AI to widen the lens, interview me one question at a time, and give feedback on what's solid and what needs work. Practical AI plays you can use this week. Scenario planning and simulations. Act as our ideal customer and review the attached proposal. What lands? What doesn't? What top changes would turn this into a yes? The executive coach. Act as my coach, one question at a time. Clarify our long-term goals, what I'm prioritizing now, whether those priorities truly advance the long term, and identify blind spots. Then help me sequence actions. The board member. Role play a growth-minded board member. Review our strategic plan and surface questions or concerns about how we're balancing short-term execution with long-term growth. Greg Shove, the CEO of Section, did this and found AI predicted 91% of his actual board questions. That's preparation you can bank on, even without a formal board. Empower your team to think strategically. Ask your team to articulate the long-term strategy in their own words. Have them map current priorities to both short-term goals and the long-term plan. Surface which long-term priorities are getting crowded out and how to fix it. Align on the balance and give them the runway to execute. The takeaway here? The short-term pressure is constant. Long-term advantage is optional unless you make it non-negotiable. Align incentives, plans, and communication with the future you're building. Use AI to keep both horizons in view. Win quick credibility without starving the compounding investments. You're the composer and the conductor. See the whole score, then bring your people and technology into harmony. Chapter 9. Accelerate strategic momentum. Make faster, smarter decisions with AI. Let me start with a moment that flipped a switch for a leader I admire. Grady Davis, an elite exec in the medical device world, had a thorny problem, staying connected with patients years after they'd received implants, especially those who'd moved, changed names, or transitioned from pediatric to adult care. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack that keeps changing shape. Grady did what great leaders did. He put a skilled team on it, 5 people, full-time, 2 months of focused work. They finally surfaced some promising strategies. Then we sat down together. I opened an AI workspace, wrote one detailed prompt, hit enter, and in seconds, out came 5 strong answers. Grady leaned in. These are really good. I want to compare them to what my team built. A few weeks later, he came back energized. This could collapse hundreds of hours into minutes. That was his unlock. Not that AI replaces expert teams, but that it can supercharge their throughput and sharpen their judgment at every stage. That's the point of this chapter. Your decisions either grow your business or put it at risk. AI used well becomes your thought partner. It does the heavy lifting so you can do the higher level thinking. Here's the 7-step framework I use and how to bring AI alongside you at each stage. First, clarify the objective. 2 checks before you do anything. Are we solving the root problem or just waving smoke away? Does this objective align with our actual goals, or is it a shiny distraction? How AI helps. Ask it to pressure test whether you're solving a cause or a symptom, and to surface the opportunity cost. If we focus on this, what do we say no to? It will force the trade-offs into the open so you invest time where it truly moves the needle. Next, map stakeholders. Decisions don't stick unless the right people are engaged. Decision makers approve or reject. Influencers sway the approvers. Champions sell the change. Early adopters, close to impact, closest to reality. Leaders often skip the last two, which is champions and early adopters, and pay for it later. The folks nearest the work see the pitfalls and the practical wins. Include them early and you'll gain insight and ownership. How AI helps. Have it interview you one question at a time to list each stakeholder, what they care about, and how they'll be affected. Then go further. Ask AI to role-play a skeptical decision maker or an early adopter. Practice your pitch, get challenged, and ask for feedback on what landed, what didn't, and how to tighten your approach. Next, gather and analyze information. Data is usually scattered across silos. You wait on reports, stitch things together manually, and still may miss what matters. Sometimes you don't even have the internal data you need. How AI helps? Even without a perfect data warehouse, you can upload what you have, CSVs, excerpts, summaries, and ask specific questions. If you do have centralized data, AI can query it and return patterns, anomalies, and trends in minutes. It won't replace a full data strategy, but it massively reduces time to insight. Next, identify solutions and alternatives. This is where bias creeps in. We fall in love with the first plausible answer and stop looking. Don't. Push beyond the obvious. The best idea wins. How AI helps? Treat it like an idea multiplier. Ask for options across different strategic lenses: low cost, fast, high impact, longer term, partner enabled, pilot first, contrarian. Then you curate. Your judgment is the filter. AI is the generator. Evaluate risks. Optimists, like me, love the upside, but strategic leaders obsess over the downside too. What could go wrong? What are the second-order consequences? Can we live with them? How AI helps. Have it act as a risk analyst and interrogate your options one question at a time. It will surface blind spots you missed. Operational, legal, financial, reputational, so you can mitigate early instead of apologize later. Next, decide and plan implementation. This is where decisions often stall. Endless meetings, fuzzy trade-offs, and plans that don't challenge assumptions. Then a spreadsheet appears and everyone hopes for the best. How AI helps? Ask for a side-by-side recommendation with upside-downside for each option and a clear rationale. Generate a first draft implementation plan, milestones, owners, timelines, RACI, risks, mitigation, comms plan, expected to get you 50 or 60% there. You complete the last mile with context, sequencing, and resourcing. Put the plan through personas, review as legal, as CFO, as customer success, and tighten it before launch. And deliver results. Implement, evaluate, iterate. Making the decision right is not the same as making the right decision. Your initial choice is a hypothesis. Results make it true or not. Leaders get stuck when they anchor their identity to being right instead of delivering outcomes. How AI helps? Treat it as your continuous improvement partner. Instrument the work, tracking leading and lagging indicators, and when the numbers slip, ask AI to diagnose drivers and propose recovery plays. You bring judgment, it brings speed and breadth. Together you iterate toward the outcome you committed. Why this matters now? Grady's team did great work, and AI showed them how much faster and broader their problem solving could be when they combined their expertise with a tool that never gets tired. That's the shift I want for you. You remain the thought leader. AI is your thought partner. You set goals, frame the problem, weigh the trade-offs, and make the call. AI collapses the time and expands the options so your people can do their best work. The bottom line, when you combine AI's processing power with your judgment, you accelerate strategic momentum. You make better decisions faster, and you unlock the full value of your team. Part 3, Chapter 10, Lead with Strategic Clarity. Ensure year-round alignment. Let me start with Wyatt. He's a real estate investor from Louisiana and part of our AI-driven leadership collective. For years, Wyatt believed flipping houses was core to his business, about $10,000 net per transaction. During his strategic planning, I asked him to bring AI into the conversation as a true thought partner. He used a single prompt, one that challenged his goals, stress tested his plan, and pushed on whether he was relying on ideal conditions. The prompt changed everything. AI didn't just tidy up his plan, it questioned the premise. It surfaced a path that was faster, easier, and more leveraged. Wyatt realized he didn't want to scale flipping at all. He wanted to pivot to multifamily and acquiring service businesses. Within 30 days, he had an off-market multifamily deal under contract projected to net $1 million, 100x a typical flip, with zero remodeling. His takeaway was honest. I've got to cut the cord with my old way of thinking. That's the power of leading with strategic clarity and keeping that clarity alive all year. The million-dollar question: are you committed to strategic thinking consistently? Here's where most leaders stumble. 3 patterns knock teams off course. 1. Not thinking big enough. Goals get anchored to today's resources and constraints, which caps your trajectory. 2. Losing sight of the bigger picture. You get pulled into execution and forget to look up and ask, are we running in the right direction? And 3. Doing it in isolation. It's tough to read the label when you're inside the box. We'll tackle each with practical ways to keep strategic clarity front and center. Problem 1. Not thinking big enough. I saw this up close with a power company. The board wanted free cash flow from $525 million to $725 million, with a big incentive if the team hit $850 million. The room was skeptical. I asked, how many of you know your true ceiling? No hands. That's the trap. If we can't see a straight path, we label it impossible. We reframed the purpose of the goal. It's not the finish line. It's the compass for who you must become. The team built a plan that added up to $850 million. Then I asked, how often do plans go according to plan? Ever. Which meant they had a plan to fail because it required perfection. We pushed for a buffer. The CEO said $1 billion. Silence. Then we asked better questions. What would have to be true to hit $1 billion? What resources are missing? How must the team change? Where do we harness technology? What do we need to stop doing? By the end of the offsite, their plan added up to $1 billion. Did the year go smoothly? Of course not. But they finished at $828 million, well beyond what they thought was realistic 24 hours earlier. That's the point. Set goals that stretch who you become, not goals that fit who you are today. Budget conservatively if you must, but align actions to a higher trajectory. Problem 2, losing sight of the bigger picture. I ran an AI workshop for an executive team whose walls were plastered with Post-its. Lots of activity, lots of color, little alignment. I asked, what's our goal? Silence. The CEO eventually shared a revenue target. I followed with, what's the single most important thing on these walls that drives that goal? More silence. They'd spent months on new product launches, a small contributor to the year's number, while neglecting the growth lever that mattered most, expanding market share of their flagship product. Talented team, wrong focus. Not because they didn't care, because they stopped looking up. This is why quarterly strategic reviews are non-negotiable. Every quarter, zoom out and inspect 4 drivers. Strategy. What long-term competitive advantage are we building through short-term actions? Execution. Goal versus actual. Where are we ahead, behind, what needs to change, who owns what? But people. Right people, right seats, right action, right growth. What praise is due? What development is needed in the next 90 days? Technology. Where can tech, especially AI, unlock higher value work, remove bottlenecks, and deliver more value to customers? Start with pen and paper, then ask AI to interview you, one driver at a time. Surface holes in your thinking, and propose the top priorities for the next 90 days. The aim is not a longer list, it's a sharper focus. Problem 3, doing it in isolation. When I mapped out how to weave AI into our products and services, I thought it was a 3-year project. I called Tim O'Sullivan, you met him in Chapter 7. He listened and said, we can lay the foundation in 30 days within budget. That single conversation radically expanded my vision. We built faster, better, and more ambitiously because I wasn't alone in the box. That's why I created the AI-driven Leadership Collective, a curated peer group for ambitious executives who want to think bigger, share what works, and shorten the learning curve. Leaders like Wyatt and Tim are proof when you combine a community of practice with the right AI prompts and habits, progress compounds. Run your quarterly strategic review with these starter questions. Strategy. What moat are we building long-term? What changed in the market since our last review? What did customers teach us that should shape our plan? Execution. Goal versus actual. Where are we ahead, behind? What changes now? What new priorities surfaced? If we add one, what gets deprioritized? What will we deliver by the next review, and who owns it? People, right seats, right action, delivering to role. What can I praise specifically? What development goals move them up a level in 90 days? How do I communicate expectations clearly and coach better? Technology. What progress can we make in the next 90 days to become AI-driven? Where can tech free our people for higher value work? Which bottleneck, if removed, unlocks efficiency? Where can we deliver more customer value with tech? What will we commit to implement this quarter? Then bring in AI to interview you, challenge assumptions, and highlight the 3 most impactful commitments for the next 90 days. Why this matters? Wyatt's 100x sleep didn't come from grinding harder. It came from thinking bigger, realigning focus, and refusing to do it alone. He put it well. AI accelerated my facing of the reality that I've got to become someone different. That's the shift. Strategic clarity isn't a January ritual. It's a year-round muscle. AI sharpens it. Community strengthens it. You direct it. If you want a peer group built for this journey, you can apply to the AI-Driven Leadership Collective at aileadership.com/collective. Chapter 11. The critical first 30 days. Focused execution to drive results. Let's start in Antarctica, 1911. 2 teams, same goal, reach the South Pole first. Roald Amundsen's Norwegians marched 20 miles every day, sun, snow, or blizzard. Robert Falcon Scott's British team sprinted on good days and hunkered down on the bad ones. The results? Amundsen's team arrived a month earlier. Scott's team never made it home. Why open with that? Because execution works the same way in business. Some weeks are blue skies, others are full-on storms. Customer fires, new initiatives, surprise meetings. The question is, who's in the driver's seat? If you let the weather run your week, you'll drift. If you stay committed to your 20-mile march, the vital 20% that creates 80% of results, you keep moving rain or shine. The first 30 days after your strategy review are your launch pad. This is where you turn plans into momentum, signal to your team that you mean it, and build a lead before the chaos tries to claw it back. The fundamentals of execution. Simple, not easy. Break the plan into bite-sized milestones. Turn the annual strategy into precise 30-day wins. What will on track look like 1 month from now for each priority? Lock the time on your calendar. Interest says, I'll try. Commitment shows up on your calendar. If the time isn't blocked, your priorities will lose to someone else's urgency. Create a common language for prioritization. New priorities will show up. If you only talk about what's new and not what will be deprioritized, you're signing up for reactive chaos. Elevate your one-on-ones. Make them about progress on the few things that matter, not status dumping. Coach clarity, focus, and performance every week. Where leaders stumble and how to fix it. Not setting 30-day milestones. Leaders leave the off-site energized, then jog out of the gate because there's time. The storm hits, the gap grows, and eventually the goals feel out of reach. The goal wasn't the problem, execution was. Tanner Luster, CEO of Primally Pure and a member of our collective, flipped this. Each month, his leaders review the plan line by line, what was due, what got done, and what must happen in the next 30 days. Owners are clear, calendars reflect the work. That cultural shift from nice team to accountable team helped fuel growth from 7 million to 50 million in 4 years. Not time blocking the work. I can tell you who's serious by looking at their calendar. Don't just cram priorities into leftover white space. That makes everything booked look more important than the strategy. Decide when you do your best work, block it, and then ask what gets bumped to protect this. No shared language for trade-offs. If a new item appears and your team doesn't immediately ask, what will we stop or delay to make room? You're breeding a reactive culture. 2 quick scripts to fix this. As a leader delegating, you say, I need your help with X. How would you prioritize it against everything on your plate? If you say yes to X, what are you saying no to? As a direct report, pushing back the right way. Happy to take it. Based on my current plan, I can deliver it by this date. If you need it sooner, here's what I'll deprioritize. Is that okay? One-on-ones that don't move the needle. If your one-on-ones are status updates or task piling, you're missing leverage. Shift to coaching. What matters most this week for our 30-day milestones? What could derail you and how will you handle it? Where can you level up performance this week? Your 20-mile march with AI. AI won't march for you, but it will help you move faster and think sharper. A quick story from my time overseeing a turnaround. Before a board meeting, I received a 66-page deck with only hours to prep. I reviewed it, then I asked AI to role-play an aggressive, growth-minded board member and generate the top 5 questions. 4 matched my list. One I'd missed became the most important. Production was 20,000 tons below plan, with a $90 a ton loss. What's the root cause and what's the fix? I led with that. It changed the conversation. That's the edge. Better focus, better questions, better outcomes. Prompts you can use this month? Turn the plan into 30-day milestones. Attached is our strategic plan. Interview me one question at a time to define the specific progress we need for each item in the next 30 days. Then draft an executive summary for my team. Make your calendar match your goals. Here are my top priorities for the week and a snapshot of my calendar. Interview me to adjust the calendar so it reflects a real plan to hit these goals. Then draft the messages to reschedule or cancel as needed. Build a shared language for prioritization. I used to add tasks without subtracting. Act as an executive coach and help me script how I'll delegate, including asking for priority order and trade-offs. Upgrade your one-on-ones. Help me design 3 to 5 questions for my one-on-ones this week to drive progress on 30-day milestones, anticipate obstacles, and raise performance. What the Antarctic race teaches us. Plans will collide with reality. The leaders who keep moving consistently, deliberately win. Your first 30 days are about proving you're in the driver's seat and building momentum that compounds. Rain or shine, keep marching your 20 miles. That's how strategy turns into results and how your team learns what driving the business really looks like. Chapter 12. 10x the impact of every employee. Let's start with an old Google legend. In the early 2000s, engineers got 20% time each week to work on ideas outside their job description. It wasn't a perk, it was a strategy to unlock their best thinking. Out of that came Gmail and Google Maps. Decades later, billions still use them. That's the promise in front of you with AI. When you free people from the grind and point them at higher value problems, innovation compounds. In this chapter, I'll show you how to 10x each person's impact by these 4 things. Focusing their role on the vital 20% that drives 80% of the results. 2, supercharging their work with AI so quality goes up while time goes down. 3, streamlining and automating the low-value 80% so they can do more of what matters. And 4, raising the standard for performance, especially thinking leverage. Focus on the 20% priorities of the role. I used to hire the wrong way. I treated job descriptions like catch-all lists, interviewed on gut feel, and piled on tasks after onboarding. A few months later, my high-potential hire would be overwhelmed and underperforming. The problem wasn't them, it was my leadership. The shift was simple and transformative. Define the 20% of the role that truly moves the business. Then hire, onboard, coach, and delegate through that lens. For a VP of operations, the 20% might be these 3 things. Turn vision into plans, into results. Build and lead a high-performance team. Design systems for scale without slowing the company down. Every interview question tests those 3. The 90-day plan orients to those 3. And every delegated task gets held up against them. Is this a priority or a distraction? Ask yourself and your leaders, what are the company's 20% priorities this year? For each key role, what are the 20% priorities? Our goals require them to do exceptionally well. Who's in the driver's seat, and what are their superpowers? Are we fully leveraging them? What do we need to change? Role, focus, support to unlock 80% of their potential impact. Then do this for your own role. When you see the intersection of your strengths, your role's 20%, and the company's goals, your clarity jumps, and so does your output. Supercharge people with AI. During an interview for this book, an executive asked what becoming an AI-driven leader looks like in practice. I walked her through the AI empowerment curve and invited her to test it on a real issue. She shared a tough personnel situation, a top performer who was culturally toxic. We fed the context to AI and had it interview her. After a few clarifying questions, it asked, "It seems like you know what you should do. What are you afraid of?" That single question broke the stalemate. She made her decision in minutes after months of spinning. She tossed him. That's the light bulb moment your team will have. Then comes the reality check. Output quality varies with input quality. The fix isn't magic. It's better prompts, clearer context, tighter instructions. As they improve their communication, AI will start accelerating everything: decision memos, board prep, customer analysis, research, first draft communications. Their work will shift from being masters of tasks to composers of strategy and conductors of teams and technology. Streamline and automate the 80%. Everyone asks, what can we automate? Elon Musk would say you're starting at step 5. His 5-step method is the blueprint. 1. Question every requirement. Why do we need this at all? Who asked for it? Does it still make sense? 2. Delete what you can. If you don't have to add 10% back, you didn't cut deep enough. 3. Simplify and optimize. Don't polish what shouldn't exist. Once you've deleted, then streamline. 4. Accelerate. Make the right process faster. And 5. Automate last. I felt this viscerally the first time I drove a Tesla. No start button. Regenerative braking means you rarely touch the brake. Car turns off when you get out. So many defaults were challenged. That's the mindset you want across your org. Don't assume the 80% must be done. Ask why first. Make this practical. Pick 1 to 3 candidate workflows per team. Run them through the 5 steps. If they survive deletion, simplify, speed up, then automate. Share wins across teams so one breakthrough becomes everyone's playbook. Raise the standard. Thinking, leverage, and 100% ownership. Here's a trap many leaders fall into. Your direct reports own 80 to 95% of their jobs, and you help by covering the rest. Add it up across the team, and you're doing your job plus 35% of theirs. That's a burnout recipe. And it's on us as leaders because we trained them it was okay. 2 root causes: suggestions masquerading as standards. If there's no consequence when an expectation isn't met, they're just suggestions. Lack of trust and patience. When we give the answer instead of asking for their thinking, we rob them of the chance to grow, and we trap ourselves in the weeds. Shifting the culture to thinking leverage. Ask more, give less. When someone brings a problem, respond with, what do you think we should do? Bring me 3 options and your recommendation. People will knock on your door less and solve more. When you do give an answer, teach the reasoning so they can think at your level next time, not just follow the directions. Bring consequences when standards aren't met. Start with a clear, supportive reset. You're asking me to do your thinking. You're capable of this. Next time, bring the situation and your proposed approach, then ask for my feedback. If it persists, be direct about the gap and the expectation going forward. Most people will rise to it. If not, you've learned something important about the role fit. Why all this matters. Your people are one of your biggest investments. The industrial way of working chains them to low-value tasks. AI is your catalyst to flip that script, but only if you combine it with role clarity, ruthless focus on the 20%, disciplined deletion of the 80%, and a high standard for thinking. Do that, and you won't just get more done. You'll build a culture where people do their best work and push the edge of what's possible. Next up, we'll connect this to change management so you can integrate AI smoothly and bring your whole organization along. Chapter 13. Integrate AI seamlessly. Change management strategies for smooth transitions. Let's start with pizza. In the mid-2000s, Domino's was in real trouble. Sliding sales, unhappy customers, and a brand people mocked. They launched the Pizza Tracker in 2008 to make ordering easier, and online sales bumped from under 15% to 20%. Great, except overall sales kept falling. Why? The product wasn't good. Customers said it tasted like cardboard. Then a gross viral video from employees tanked trust even further, and the company botched the crisis response. It was a mess. Enter Patrick Doyle. He didn't hide from the criticism, he used it. He set a clear vision, fix the pizza, and harness technology to build an advantage. Think of him as the conductor, aligning people and tech to one goal. First, they rebuilt the product, crisper crust, bolder sauce, better cheese. In parallel, they doubled down on frictionless digital ordering and industry-leading delivery time. The results were staggering. In 2001, the iPhone app brought in $1 million in the first month, and then $1 million per week within 90 days. By 2022, 91% or more of sales came through digital channels with higher average order value. Integrations with Amazon's Echo and the Apple Watch While most of the industry was still trying to ship a basic app, their stock moved from $2.82 to over $252, adding roughly $12 billion in enterprise value. The lesson for us as AI-driven leaders: technology isn't the hero, leadership is. Strategy first, technology second. Be the composer of strategy and the conductor of teams in technology. How to win support for AI without making AI the goal. Step 1, identify the problem. What are our business goals? What problems are blocking progress? What do decision makers actually care about right now? 2, identify the cause. How could tech help here? Will this move a metric that matters? What's the speed to value? Can we notch a quick win? What's the downside if it flops? Look for high-impact, low-risk, fast-to-value use cases that create a strong first impression. Step 3, map stakeholders. Decision makers, influencers, champions, early adopters, who are they? What does each person care about, and how does this help them win? You don't need a direct line to the final approver. You need a champion who does. Step 4, co-author the solution. Bring key people in early. Share the problem and a rough vision for how AI could help. Invite them to help design the solution so they own it with you. Everyone defends what they help create. Step 5, lead execution. Whatever your role, exec, influencer, champion, early adopter, stay in the driver's seat. Keep the ball moving, remove blockers, and deliver a visible result. Create buy-in, one light bulb moment at a time. Ask leaders, what's a challenge where having a thought partner would help? Then live demo AI as an interviewer, one question at a time, clarifying, probing, proposing options. When someone sees AI, help them think better in 5 minutes. Then ask the magic question, what else could this do? And if they don't know where to start, have AI interview them to find a relatable use case in their day-to-day work. Handle concerns with empathetic strength. Most people won't be early adopters. Expect questions and meet them with respect. What about job displacement? Reframe roles as skills plus processes. Some will be augmented or automated, but not all. Share a vision where AI frees people to do higher value work, and invest in the skills that make them harder to replace. With respect to data and privacy, affirm security as non-negotiable. There are enterprise-safe options. Keep guidance current as the landscape evolves. And regulatory risk, get specific. Often AI restricted really means customer data in certain contexts is restricted. Explore what's allowed: content creation, marketing ideation, internal coaching, and build there. Can we trust the answers? Teach the two roles. You're the thought leader. AI is the thought partner. Ask for sources. Ask it to check itself and verify. Also, today's quality is the worst it will ever be. Models are improving every day. Build momentum where it's welcome. Empower innovators and early adopters with approved tools, clear guidelines, and short trainings on better prompting. Create simple forums, show and tells, office hours, where people share wins and misses. Make learning public. Recognize and reward smart experiments, not just perfect outcomes. Make the transition smooth. Crawl, walk, run. Start with small, high-confidence use cases that can deliver value quickly. Celebrate wins, learn from stumbles, and expand. Keep people at the center. The tech doesn't determine the impact. Your leadership does. Domino's didn't win because they had an app. They won because leadership aligned people and technology to a clear strategy and delivered again and again. That's your playbook for integrating AI smoothly and successfully. Chapter 14. Go from 0 to 1. The simple path to deliver value with AI. Let me take you back to 2004. The iPod was Apple's golden goose, nearly a quarter of the company revenue and a cultural phenomenon. Most leaders would have ridden that wave. Steve Jobs did something different. He protected the future. He blocked time to think, he studied trends, and he spotted the threat early. Phones were rapidly absorbing iPod-like features. Click wheels and tiny screens wouldn't hold forever. So he rallied Apple's best, Tony Fadell, Scott Forstall, Jony Ive, and set a bold goal: One device that was a phone, an internet communicator, and a music player, not 3 products. 1. That goal forced the team to become someone new. Touchscreens, UI paradigms, wireless integration. On January 9, 2007, Steve Jobs took the stage and unveiled the iPhone. The rest is history. The device rewired how we live and helped put Apple on a path to the first trillion-dollar market cap. None of that happens without a leader who makes space for strategic thinking and acts on what he sees. That's our core message: strategy first, technology second. You build long-term advantage through consistent short-term choices, especially making time to think. And in the AI era, your first strategic choice is simple: go from 0 to 1. Your simple path from 0 to 1 with AI. Here's the funny thing. I interviewed over 200 leaders. 100% believed AI is the future and their company will adopt it. Fewer than 5% had done anything. Why? Everyone's busy, unsure where to start, and unclear what AI can actually do for them. So here's the on-ramp. The AI empowerment flywheel. Start asking one question everywhere. How might AI help me do this? Light bulb moment. You try it on something relatable and get a surprisingly good result. Reality check. Next time you get mediocre output. That's not AI failing, it's your inputs. Better context, clearer instructions, stronger examples equal better outcomes. Momentum. You keep asking the question across more use cases: strategy, decision, content, messaging, analysis, research, and your results compound. Expansion. You begin to see possibilities you couldn't see before and start thinking about how your people, system, and culture can become AI-driven. A 3-step framework to use in any situation. Ask AI to interview you. Please interview me, one question at a time, to find one way you can help me with whatever. Category: strategy, decision-making, messaging, analysis, research, etc. that I need to tackle this week. Have AI write the prompt and explain why. Create a high-quality prompt for this task and explain why you structured it that way so I can learn. Execute and iterate. Great. Now run that prompt, then give feedback. You're the thought leader. AI is the thought partner. The first answer is the starting point, not the finish line. Why simple isn't easy. Domino's didn't turn around with a snappy app. Patrick Doyle reset the product, better crust, sauce, cheese, removed friction in ordering, and set a clear standard: great pizza, easy to order, delivered fast. It took systems, training, standards, and relentless focus. That discipline drove $12 billion in enterprise value. AI adoption is the same: simple path, hard work, worth it. The challenges you'll face and how to beat them. No time for strategic thinking. Time isn't the problem. Prioritization is. Put recurring strategy blocks on your calendar. Reclaim time by canceling what matters less than thinking time. Draft the note and send it. Anticipate what will derail the block and prevent it. Delegate low-value work now. Don't wait for when it slows down. Tell your team why this time matters so they protect it with you. Ask yourself, how might AI help me do each of these? Feeling alone on the journey? If your circle doesn't get it, your momentum stalls. Audit your 5 closest professional influences. Who's missing? Find peers who are already experimenting with AI. Collaborate on a small win. Join an active community. Create internal forums for show and tell. Seed a culture of curiosity. Reward sharing wins and lesson learns. Limited internal technical talent. Vision without builders gets stuck. Tap your network for intros to experts. Bridge with outside partners while upskilling your team. Stand up targeted training so your people build durable capability. The skill gap on your team. What got you here won't get you there, and that's okay. Define the specific skills each role needs in an AI-driven organization. Explain the why behind upskilling so people opt in. Provide training, coaching, and clear standards. Pair empathy with accountability. Support growth and make tough calls when necessary. How we can help if you don't want to go it alone. The AI-Driven Leadership Collective, a curated peer network of executives who think big together, share what works, and have technical experts in the room to build what you imagine. Apply at aileadership.com/collective. Corporate solutions, executive accelerators, offsites, advisory, keynotes, and workshops to raise literacy and turn strategy into execution. Partner platform. If you lack builders, we connect you to the right technical partners to deliver. A practical next step. Use our AI Thought Partner at aileadership.com. Start with, I just finished reading The AI-Driven Leader. Help me identify a place to start applying the lessons I learned. It's trained on these frameworks, and it will walk you into action. Remember, the simple path is not easy work, but the return on your business, on your people, and your leadership is extraordinary. So the question is, who can you become as an AI-driven leader? Only you can answer that. I'm here to help you find out. Conclusion. Redefine who you are and who you can become. Let's end where most of us started, as kids being asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? It sounds innocent, but it wires us to confuse what we do with who we are. That's why change feels so threatening. People aren't just afraid of losing a job, they're afraid of losing an identity. I learned this the hard way. After exiting the business behind the one thing, I felt unmoored. I'd attached my identity to being the face of that brand. When that changed, I didn't know who I was. It led to a dark season of untangling success from wounds, and for the first time, really doing the work. The breakthrough was simple and life-shaking. You are you, not your job, not your title, not your paycheck. Your life is a journey of becoming, not arriving. The goal is alignment. Let what you do reflect who you truly are. And here's why this matters right now. As you become an AI-driven leader, your work will change. What you do, how you spend your time, and what you prioritize. But that doesn't change who you are. In fact, it can finally free you to work in a way that expresses your strengths instead of burying them in meetings and low-value tasks. If your days have never felt like you, maybe it's not you that's the problem. It's the way we've been taught to work. Change will still trigger resistance. Part of your brain treats change like a threat, like a death of the current self. That's normal. Don't fight it, welcome it. You were made to grow. This is an invitation to let go of the old industrial mindset where people bent around machines and step into a future where we align strengths to role priorities, tie those priorities to company goals, and use AI to enhance our abilities, not replace them. The vision is simple. You are not your job. Your identity leads, your work follows. Your strengths give you energy. Design your work so you finish with more energy than you started. AI is a tool to help your best self show up more often at a higher level with greater impact. So let me ask you questions that matter. Who are you? Not what do you do? Who can you become as a partner, a parent, a leader? If your work truly reflected who you are, what would change this week? That's the journey to becoming an AI-driven leader. It's not about mastering a tool. It's about becoming more yourself while using the tool to multiply your impact. I believe this future is within reach. Use what you've learned here to discover who you are and align your work accordingly. Harness your unique strengths. Let AI amplify them. Who can you become? The answer is already in you. Continue your journey and leverage these to help. AI Thought Partner, AI-Driven Leader Podcast, AI-Driven Leadership Collective, and Corporate Solutions. Visit aileadership.com for more information. So that wraps it up. We're done for today. This has been part 2 of The AI-Driven Leader by Geoff Woods. Remember that our website is innoguide.net, where we have many resources for innovators, people building products, and those who want to learn AI. I want to thank Steve McIntyre for producing this, and I want to thank you for joining. I look forward to seeing you next time. That's a wrap.